Inside Foos presents FoosTalk Live.
Hi, my name's Adam. I don't know if you wanted me to join. Are you just talking? Anyways, yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here as always, and yeah, I like sticking it to Tom every time we get a chance to bring up America because I don't understand why he hates that. Well, I don't understand why he hates this country. Is really what that comes down to.
Hang on, hold on a second.
But well, the problem is you have never been through the desert on a horse with no name.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. Once you do
True.
that, you're so
and you've never had a sister with golden hair.
It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos, it's the 81st episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you by InsideFoos.com, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded, plus live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. Also brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier foosball safety accessory. Go to protecto-flex.com. Brought to you by Rodlock. Practice more, reach less. The best practice tool in foosball. Visit rod-lock.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items in foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Brought to you by Foosballers The Movie. This documentary is now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member at usafoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the United States. Make a donation today at foosballclubsusa.com. Well, hey there, it's Tom Robertson. We're back for our 81st episode of FoosTalk Live. Back together again. Great to have you along. Looking forward to a very interesting evening with lots of tournaments happening. Of course, talking about foosball is always a lot more fun and a lot more interesting when you've got someone else to talk to, like the greatest play-by-play foosball announcer of all time. Welcome, Jim.
Good evening, Tom Robinson. Hello to everybody out there listening. Tom mentioned it, a couple of tournaments this weekend, and we're going to bring Adam on here in a couple of minutes. And he and I spent most of last evening covering an event up in Portland, Oregon. Of course, Michael Stahl also running the event in Michigan this weekend. A couple of big upcoming tournaments. Our special guest tonight is Blake Robertson. Top 5 surprises of 2021. Lots going on tonight. On, I believe you said our 81st episode of FoosTalk Live. How about that?
81st. 81 times we've actually dared to do this show. So,
yes.
Yeah, which is okay. You know, I think that we've kind of gotten used to it by now.
Apparently, and they haven't kicked us off yet. Right? They haven't canceled us. We're still going strong. They like us. They really like us.
They really like us.
And you know, for us, it's just having fun on a Sunday evening, and hopefully everybody out there listening is having fun as well, and staying up to date on what's going on in the foosball world. And of course, we always like to talk a little foosball history.
Of course,
this year, or at least tonight, we're going to talk a little bit more current with our top 5. And of course, with the reigning doubles world champion on the tornado table and the reigning multi-table world champion in doubles, Blake Robertson as well. So looking forward to that.
It's exciting. He always brings a lot of extra energy, not only to the game, but also to FoosTalk Live, because this will be, I think, his second appearance on FoosTalk Live. And
it is, yeah. We have to go way back, I think, somewhere maybe in the 20s even, or 30s, as far as the shows go, to the last time we spoke with Blake. And a lot has happened with him. And there's a lot to talk about with him, about his career and about some things that have happened just since we last spoke with him.
I think the last time, in fact, he gave us a tour through his apartment building as we were having our conversation, which was really compelling. Really compelling. So maybe we'll get some of that tonight.
Yeah, compelling is one word for it, I suppose, yes.
By the way, speaking of compelling, there is an individual who's been joining us of late and has been also spending a lot of time with play-by-play action with the various tournaments of late. We've been hearing his name and his voice a lot, all the way from Ventura, California via Yosemite National Park. It's Adam, I got it this time, Gilson.
Who?
I got it this time, Gilson. Sitting here underneath some massive trees in this misty, beautiful wonderland. It is amazing. And what I'm hearing is that every time we talk to Blake on this show, there's this workmanlike thing that's happening. He's touring his apartment complex for you. He's folding clothes for us.
Oh yeah.
We know his favorite restaurant. I mean, this is a
Mhm.
man who has reached the pinnacle of foosball, and yet he folds his own underwear.
What?
And
Mhm.
my God, can you
How is
relate to
that
that?
possible? How is
Yeah,
that possible?
absolutely.
It
He
is
needs to he
unbelievable.
needs to talk to
That's that.
Tony Sprademan a little more carefully about getting a maid.
Yes,
I think that would be the way
yes.
to go. I know.
Yeah, I'm not touching any of that. I'm just going to stay
Yeah.
away from all of that.
Especially anyways, it's a beautiful thing, and it's always lovely to be here.
Now,
And
Adam,
yeah,
you mentioned,
yes,
and Tom mentioned as well, that you are up at Yosemite National Park in the Sierra Nevadas in
right.
California.
Yeah,
Holy smoke!
after we did our show last night, I stayed up for another couple hours and finished packing, and we hit the road around 8 in the morning. Got here a couple hours ago, and we just the extended family, the in-laws, and my
Cool.
wife and son. Yeah, we were up here. We've got a big cabin, and we've got about 5 6 days ahead of us of cooking and hiking and stuff. Tomorrow it's going to be perfect. It's just going to be raining all day, so we're going to stay inside and
Mm.
just
Yeah.
cook and bake, and yeah,
I
no,
was
this is
gonna
going to be
just gonna
great.
mention you guys have quite an intense storm front coming through as of tomorrow.
Yeah, we
Uh,
have some stuff happening. So
right.
Yeah, and we're going to get a little piece of that as well on
yeah.
Tuesday. But yeah,
Mhm,
I guess it's quite a bit of moisture coming in off the Pacific
mhm.
that's going to affect the West significantly. But
Right.
you mentioned that you and I last night we were covering the Zeke Mullins Northwest Open up in Portland, Oregon, an event put on
Mm-hmm.
by Rod Locks, Brad Lorene, and others, and they really had a great time. Tom, if you've ever, and I know you have. But we work a lot of events in these big hotels, these big hotel ballrooms, arenas,
Mm-hmm.
gymnasiums, everywhere else. But for me, there's nothing quite like a tournament held in a bar or in a pool hall. And there's 10 tables in there. There's 60 or 80 or 100 foosball players. The music is going. They're making burgers. You can grab a good IPA at the bar, and you get to know the bartender's name
Love
pretty
it.
much on Friday evening, and then hang out with them all weekend. And for me, and I think Adam, I think you can relate to this, and Tom, I'm sure you can as well. It brings back such memories of those kinds
Yeah,
of tournaments, of 3 grander, a 3,500, a 5 grander, held on a regional, local basis in these bars and pubs and pool halls. That to me, it's really they're the most fun for me
yeah.
to attend them. I've worked many of them. I've set up
Sure.
in the Inside Food Studio in these bars as well, and I just love it. And I really got a sense of that last night working that event. And Adam and I worked about 3.5 hours and covered open doubles, open mixed doubles finals, draw your partner final as well, and had a chance to look at this outstanding group of players from the Pacific Northwest.
And so, what were some of the outstanding performances you guys got a chance to witness?
We got to see Joseph Wyborg kind of blossom a little bit as a player. We've been seeing him. He's been on the radar for quite a few years, and he's an amateur, but he's
Okay.
always been
Oh,
threatening playing pretty much anybody when his head is there. But what we saw happening last night was this ebb and tide from him not really being able to grasp that spark. But he caught on to it and ended up winning open doubles with
really?
his partner Cody Byrie. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a great
playing the forward
performance.
position, an amateur
Yeah,
player. We think he's still an amateur. Maybe he's been bumped up by now.
yeah,
But
but he's definitely
playing
not
forward,
anything.
won open
Yeah,
doubles against a couple of really good, challenging teams,
Huh.
sure.
and some top pro players from that area. A lot of
Yeah.
fun to watch his growth as a player. Also, always a lot of fun to watch Cody Byrie, the outstanding player from Washington, play the goalie position. He's really good back there.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. Yes.
And
So, anybody
and
else
and
that
more so
comes to
than
mind?
that, Tom, I mean that area, and Jim talked about this as well, is steeped in history with the tournament soccer connection, and
Sure.
seeing players like Jack Lenty and Rich Fosner out there, and
Yeah.
knowing like how everybody made their bones in that area, it's phenomenal to see.
They're all still coming out to regional tournaments like that.
They are, and we did, as he said, we got a chance to see Lenti and Fosner, two of the great names from that area. They ended up winning the DYP last night. We were able to commentate that match, but looked like the turnout was good. Looked like everybody was having a great time. One of the things Adam and I talked about last night, I know we've talked about it on this show, is the importance of these kinds of events, these regional events that don't rely on a national turnout.
Right.
That you run a 5 grander, a 7 grander, maybe at the most, and you count on players from within a 3 to 500 mile radius. And
Mm-hmm.
these are the kind of tournaments the sport was really built on. Obviously, you have your major championships, your larger state championship events around the country as well. But these kinds of regional events are really an important part of the infrastructure of the sport. and have been. And really, we've lost that, I think, a little bit over the last 15 or 20 years when every tournament seemingly was trying to be a national event and bring in players
Sure.
from all around the country. Instead of just focusing on what, capitalizing on what local promoters are doing in the various cities and then regionalizing these events in the $5,000 to $7,000 range and even 3,500 oftentimes.
Right.
And just building these sorts of events to help promote the sport and just give the players a great opportunity to compete at a pretty high level.
So if we took it back to, let's say, 25 years in history of foosball, when there were more regional and local tournaments, how exactly did they balance it out to make sure they weren't interfering, let's say, with a state or a national championship?
Well, that's the thing, with a regional championship, and we saw it this weekend. It's the perfect example, right? You had a tournament up in Portland, the Northwest Open, the Zeke
Hmm.
Mullins Northwest Open, and you also had a state championship event in Michigan run by
Right.
Michael Stahl. And I want to talk a little bit about that tournament as
Yeah.
well here in a minute. But both of these going simultaneously, and neither affected the other in any way negatively, right?
Hmm.
In fact,
Yeah.
I think in some ways, maybe these kind of supported each other almost. It really gave foosball fans great opportunities to watch both at InsideFoos.com and Bearded Wonder Foosball also, who covered the Michigan event. But there shouldn't be, and there generally isn't going to be any sort of conflicts between events of this size because you aren't counting on any kind of national turnout. You're
Okay.
simply relying on a more regional group of players coming in. And so it shouldn't influence it at all, to answer your question.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I know that there was a time it seemed like you had to really check the calendar before you booked your event just to make sure you weren't interfering or taking away players from another part of, let's say, within a specific area, region, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that's still probably important to do. Make sure that if you're running a tournament in Portland, there's also not one in Boise, Idaho, or Seattle,
Yeah,
Washington, or Northern California. But I think that's probably about all you have to worry about.
sure.
There is enough of a player base. We don't have to cut this one large group of players up, into the one big piece. We can sort of
Hmm.
have some players play here, some players. In fact, there probably could have been a third one. Could have had one in Florida, for example. It probably would not
Yeah.
have affected things too
Sure.
much as well. So,
Understood. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it really is important to run these kinds of events and have that kind of focus. And Brad Lorene and company did a great job of that this weekend in the Pacific Northwest. And of course, Michael Stahl, by the way, Michael, who ran this thing, we talked to him a couple of weeks ago,
Hmm.
also somehow found the energy to win open singles as well.
Wow.
How?
That's great.
That's amazing.
Congratulations to
Yep.
Michael, man. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that he's been very determined as a youngster. He's been very determined to become a top player, and it seems that he's on his way. He's got this drive that you just don't find with some of the older players. He just really has this
He really
desire.
does. Yeah. But it's more than just as a player for him. He also wants to be a part of the infrastructure. He wants to be a promoter of events, wants to be involved with larger programs, with the club system, et cetera. So kudos to Mike, both for his on and off the table efforts.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what kind of numbers he got this last weekend. Of course, Portland as well. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to the next couple of weeks here. We've got more yet to come before the end of 2021. So much more action yet to take place.
We do. In fact, in 2 weeks, down in Virginia Beach, it is going to be the $8,000 or $8,500 Virginia State Foosball Championships. This is on Bonzini. This is a Bonzini event.
Bonzini,
And
Bonzini.
that's on. You want to go down there so
Yes,
badly,
I
Tom.
do.
That's at Peabody's nightclub in Virginia Beach, Virginia, run by Steve Johnson down there. And you can, of course, go to anytime you need to figure out what's upcoming. You can go to foosball.com, go to their tournament schedule, which is updated regularly. And then, of course, November 11th through 14th, Adam and I are going to be there. It's listed as a 30 grander. I think they've actually upped it to a
No, they
$50,000
just
tournament.
no.
Really?
It just got up.
The Colorado State Championships in Thornton, where we are expecting probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 450 to 500 players.
Nice.
Wow.
70 foosball tables set up. Now, and again, we talk about these regional events. We talk about the real state championships. Colorado State, Texas State, those are not state championship events. They are not. These are
Right,
major
right.
championships. You get very high-end, top-of-the-line talent. You get big numbers. You get a large number of tables. You get really well-run tournaments. So those do not count as state championships. It's sort of for tradition's sake, I think, in historical perspective, that we call these Colorado State and Texas State championships, because they aren't. These are
Sure.
major championships on the level of the Hall of Fame Classic or even of the Tornado Championships.
Yeah. So the Chapmans have always run the Colorado State tournament, correct?
They have since 2014, yes.
Okay.
It's been run before that. It was run by various individuals, including Mary Moore at one point, who ran Colorado State Championships. Mike Sames, our good friend formerly out of Colorado, now in Arizona, ran an event there as well. So, but starting in 2014, the Chapmans, TSK Promotions, along with Tim Walters, began promoting the event, and they've run it at that hotel. It looks like a castle. It's actually a DoubleTree hotel
Nice.
in Thornton. It looks like a castle, and I believe it was built. Didn't we decide it was built in the late 1600s? I think it was.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. And but it's been in that same hotel. Really has a lot of character and a lot of flavor.
Love it.
And hopefully a lot of space, because there's going to be a lot of players there.
Yeah,
folks.
no doubt. Looking forward to it. You know, all this talk about playing foosball, you know what this does for me? It dries my thirst.
What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA.
So, and we chatted about this briefly before we came on. What exactly do you have in your palm at this point, Jim?
Well, Tom Robinson.
Oh, no.
I have two small children, right? And so Halloween, we started about 6 weeks ago, I think.
Yes.
You know, although we just recently hung the webbing on the front of the house and put up a few spiders and skeletons and things like that. But
Cool.
it's really starting to heat up. And I know we're not going to have a live show next week for which will be Halloween night. I'll be out trick or treating with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted this week to kind of celebrate. And I was fortunate enough to go down to Star Liquors, our local liquor store here in Durango, and pick up a can of Count Hopula from the Santan Brewing Company down in Chandler, Arizona, right at the base of the Santan Mountains down in the Phoenix area.
Count Hopula.
Count Hopula. It's an Imperial Red IPA. It's 9.1% alcohol. It's a 99 on the IBU,
Nice.
which it's pretty high. This is definitely the beer to be drinking this Halloween.
I love it.
Because it's from the vault. It says it's a limited series, so I was fortunate to find it. It's Count Hopula.
Sounds like something you could drink out of a cereal bowl, perhaps.
Ba-dum-bum.
So, Adam, what exactly are you partaking
by the
of this
way,
evening?
it's delicious.
Is it?
Good.
Nice.
Yeah, I was curious.
Boy, it's hearty, and it's a red IPA.
Ooh.
Boy,
I
that's
can
quite the
feel
aftertaste.
my cheeks. Cheeks are
Love it.
puckering just hearing you drink that.
You know why it's a red IPA, of course, because it has blood, lots of blood.
Blood of my enemies. Well, anyways, as you know, I'm here in Yosemite right now.
What
with
Jim and I
family,
like to do
and-
right about this.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, you were
No,
saying?
I like an intro. I love an intro.
Go ahead.
As you all know, I'm up here in Yosemite right now with the family, having a good time. Rented a cabin, and about a 2-minute walk away, there's the grocery store, the only one here within about 20, 30 miles. And I went and found an IPA that they have there, and it's the only IPA brewery that I could have possibly gotten here in Yosemite.
Really?
Could you guess? Could you guess who it is, Jim? Could you guess who has to be this brewery? Third biggest brewery.
Is it Ansel Adams?
No.
Hansel Adams?
Because I'm here in Yosemite. It's the Sierra Nevada Brewery.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
Hazy little thing IPA. And the thing that got me about this was on it, and I'm going to just open it up. Let's see. My favorite part about what it says is it says family owned, operated, and argued over. And because I have about 6 more days worth of being around my family and extended family, I thought I'd need a lot of these. So let's have a taste here.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is the perfect hazy. It's citrusy, it's light, it's not overpowering, and it leaves a nice puckerish mouthfeel at the end. This is good.
Puckerish mouthfeel. I love that. Yeah, no, I've had that particular hazy. That's a really good choice. This week, I've decided to go to Chicago, Illinois, for Pipeworks Brewing. They have something called the Lizard King. It's a mosaic hopped pale ale. It's 6% alcohol. But I got to say, most remarkable about this is the picture on the can, the illustration. It's Sean, I believe it's Jason Burke. Jason Burke did the illustration on this, and I gotta mention his name because it looks like the front cover of an Iron Maiden album. It's that good. But let's see what's inside the can. Let's find out.
I was thinking maybe it was Jim Morrison, wasn't he? Don't know, Lizard King.
That's a mouthful of flavor right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, hoppy.
Yes, a mouthful of flavor for me too.
Nice. Okay, so let's lift our glass now. We have an honor group of the week to talk about this week. It's Dynamo Foosball, their Facebook group.
Wow.
Dynamo Foosball Facebook group. They're always, whenever you go to their site, they're always remembering the good old days of Dynamo Foosball.
How
And
about that?
lots of interesting history there when it comes to Dynamo. Of course, Dynamo goes back into the 80s, correct?
It actually goes back to the 70s,
the
even before
70s.
that. And then sort of through the 80s, the tour, basically, the last year of the tour was 86, 87, right in there. I'm guessing there isn't a single member of that Dynamo Foosball Club under the age of 55 or 60. Pretty much couldn't be.
Gotcha.
But I also remember those days well. I had some of my greatest success on the Dynamo table, so here's to you guys.
Yeah, cheers and many happy returns as the crow flies. There we go.
A dynamic choice for sure.
The Dynamo Foosball Club. It's so funny because I'm seeing a lot of new groups being formed now. Social media, of course, Facebook being one of them, but a lot of new groups popping up all over the country. Maybe they existed prior to this, but I didn't know them because they just started to show up more recently. And so we'll picking those guys out, of course, because they seem new, or at least relatively new. And as we go on, as we continue with that, boy, this Lizard King stuff is really good. I gotta say, it's only
you know what? I'm sitting here. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but the reason I'm sitting here, I'm entranced by the fact that this is a 20-ounce can of hazy IPA. I've
You
never
got the
drank
big
this
can.
much.
Holy smokes.
Well, I didn't want to buy a 6-pack because I didn't know how the week was going to unfold. So I just bought this one, and this is a long evening for me. So
there you go.
Yeah, if I was sharing a can with the in-laws, I'm out. I'm getting a couple cases, probably. But yeah,
well, I hope they're not listening. He said cases, folks.
Cases. Yes.
Get off my case.
Well, I got to say, camping out with the entire family is always a brave thing to do. So, a good IPA is always shall we say, a liquid courage.
Yeah. Well, and also just in case, I have some vodka in the freezer.
Oh, just in case. Just in case. Very nice. Well, guys, I know that we're going to be talking to one of the greatest players of the day because he's been doing a lot of winning lately, and I thought perhaps we could reminisce with the flashback.
Let's do that.
With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Well, we'll now move back to the tornado table. It remains world championship point for Blake Robertson and Ryan Moore. Blake puts it into play.
No, that one kept out by Dost.
Mark trying to bank it, goes wide of the goal. Picked up by Robertson, who can win it. Blake Robertson sets it up and calls time out. One ball stands between Blake Robertson and Ryan Moore and a world title, and Blake will put that ball back into play. Robertson chokes it home to the near side, and there it is. Blake Robertson and Ryan Moore of the USA are the 2019 ITSF World Men's Doubles Champion.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Well, the sound of the crowd, it sounds pretty large there. Was that just enhanced, or was that truly the large that size?
That was me. That was me clapping and then using that audio about 400 times. No, it was a good sized crowd watching it. That was actually opening day at the 2019, at least opening day for me. The event had started a couple of days before that with some of the kind of other events that they have these days. But, one thing I remember about that, in fact, I don't remember anything about that particular day. It took me over 45 hours to get from Durango, Colorado to Murcia, Spain that year. Wow. I got stuck in Chicago for I missed my flight by 3 minutes and got stuck for 24 hours for my next flight to Dublin. And then, I had to wait for the next one the next day. And I got in at about 2 a.m. On, I guess it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. And I got in about 2 a.m. and then had to go to work, had to be down at the arena at 8 a.m.
Oh,
And again, remember, there's an 8-hour time difference. And so that day, working really on no sleep whatsoever after 45 hours of travel, I commentated all day, doing the open doubles competition,
yeah.
rounded out at the end of the day with a win, amazing win, tremendous performance from Blake playing forward, Ryan playing goalie. And it was a remarkable performance from them, but I had to go back and watch it to really remember what happened because that day pretty much got lost for me.
It's good you can admit that now. At the moment, probably not a great idea, but no.
You do what you got to do, right? And I did not anticipate, when it's 4 flights to get to Europe, which it always is
Wow.
for me from Durango. If one of those early flights is late, it really is a domino effect affecting the rest of my flights. And I spent a night at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, home to a couple of the biggest tournaments, to the last biggest tournament in the history of tournament soccer back in '81 that was held at that hotel. And I spent an entire night there before being able to head on eventually to Murcia, Spain, and that day of foosball.
Wow.
Needless to say, after that match ended, I headed back to the hotel and slept for 12 hours.
So we're going to have to ask Blake what that was like to take a timeout just before that final ball went in. Now, strategically speaking, that probably is what does it, right? It's like interrupting the flow of things and taking the opposing team out of the momentum, perhaps.
For sure. And Blake and Ryan, for the most part, had the momentum. Ryan was not giving his opponent anything at all defensively, and so they began to kind of mount a little bit of a comeback. Blake called that timeout, made sure that they put it away, and did so. And then they got mobbed by the rest of the American team, and of course, you heard the crowd applauding as well. It was a great moment, great win for those two. And we'll talk with Blake about that and many other things here in a few minutes.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. No question about it. And of course, this episode of FoosTalk Live, we've been kind of reminiscing a bit and catching up with what's been happening with tournaments lately. There's a lot more to come yet when it comes to foosball competition, which you'll be hearing a lot more about very soon. I was just wondering, guys, we have been talking about tonight's top 5. And this year, because we've returned to foosball competition now in earnest, wondering what your biggest surprises might be and whether or not you've compiled a good top 5 list tonight.
Well, this is a complete surprise to me. Is that what it is? It's top 5 surprises? Well, I'll just make it up as I go along. I'm sure you can do that as well, Adam. It's completely a surprise to
I have
me.
no idea. I thought we were talking about our favorite Twinkie flavors.
Well, that's what I've got listed here.
Yeah, strawberry. Right?
Now, guys,
No,
don't be messing with me.
I'm a blackberry dark chocolate guy. I don't know this.
You psycho. I knew it.
Well, what do you
Hold on,
say?
let me get rid of that list.
Are you ready, or shall we just whoops? Oh, he's tearing up his list. Man, it's
wow.
Yeah.
I said psycho. Okay. All right. So what is it? It's our top 5 big surprises.
Yeah,
right?
Of 2021. Okay.
That's what we talked about. That's what we planned on anyway.
Time once again for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here's Jim Stevens and Mark Torres.
And the part of Mark Torres this evening being played by Adam Gilson. And Adam, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to make you your own custom intro here. But anyway, so what's up with the biggest surprises of 2021?
Well, go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No, I was waiting for the number 5. Did we already do the number 5?
We're just letting the band play you out, but that's cool. Yeah. We can do that next. Hold on one second here. Just wait for the moment. Here it comes. The moment is now.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number.
So I'm loath to talk about this subject, but I have to do it because when we talk about top 5 surprises, it has to be personal to some degree. So last night we were doing the Zeke Mullins Open in Portland, and we were doing the finals match, and it was Cody Byrie and Joseph Weiborg versus oh my gosh, who did they play? Bob Arnett and
Robbie Hayes.
Robbie Hayes, thank you. Yeah. And not to get into the nuts and bolts of what you do when you do color commentary and stuff like that, but generally near the end, when it gets to the 4th or 5th game, I stop talking, or just like talk very little. And at some point in the 5th game of that match, 11:34 at night, 11:24 at night, I'm just listening to Jim talk, and he's doing his thing. He's doing his rhythm. I mean, you could close your eyes and you could know what's happening. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm remembering 2017 and 2014 and 2008, 2004. I'm remembering when I first started playing in 1998 with my VHS tapes of him commentating on Trevor Parks matches. And that's what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing my idols speak. And then there's a silence. And then I realize I have to talk. I'm bringing something up. It's me. I'm there. And I'm like, "Oh my god. I cannot believe that I'm here. I can't believe this is something that I'm doing this year right now, post-pandemic, post anything, post being I mean, it's just amazing to me." So for me, the top number 5 surprise for me personally was just being here with you, Jim, Tom, Mark, with all of our great guests like Blake and everybody. Like, I absolutely can't believe that I'm here right now. That is 5 from surprises for me.
That is
Wow.
so nice. That's so cool that you're so surprised.
Yeah, I still
You
am.
know, yeah, and I've known Adam for a while and really have gotten to know him extremely well, over the last 6 months or a year or whatever. It isn't surprising to me at all how good he is on the microphone. In fact, if I am surprised, it's because he takes it to another level that I didn't see coming. And that's Adam. Just kudos to you. I really enjoy working with you, and I think I appreciate what you said there. I got a little bit of a chill as you were saying it, but not a surprise to me how good Adam is. Such a bright guy who knows the sport so well and has a great sense of humor, as all of you, I'm sure, have realized. For me, number 5, I suppose, none of these are, I guess, huge surprises. There isn't anything shocking. There's nothing like Lafredo winning in '77 with Jackson or tournament suckers crash in '81. Nothing that monumental necessarily this year. But the one thing, and it's been a pleasant surprise that has happened. 19 months now. It's 19 months ago when the world shut down for COVID, right?
No kidding.
And for me, it was when that happened, I immediately went, "Uh-oh." So I knew what it meant for me and for Inside Foos and for the sport and for tournaments in general. But I guess the big surprise to me, and again a pleasant one, is how the community has stuck together. How through thankfully through social media, and I guess to some degree through the efforts of Inside Foos and others in the world of foosball, we've come out the other side of this, and everybody still is. We, of course, we've lost a few, but we've also gained a few during that time period. Some new players have come back to the sport, maybe realizing how much they missed it during that time period that was so difficult and stressful for all of us in so many different ways. But for me, it's the tight knit, and you sense it when you go to tournaments. I brought this up at the Texas State Championships when I did a speech there. I did in Bardo, where you just get this feeling of us all being on the same team. Yeah, we're competing with each other. We've always said foosball is one of those rare sports where you can hang out with the guys and they're your best friends, and then you get on the table and you try to beat their brains in, and then after the match you're back having a beer with them or whatever. But that statement has never been truer than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And the glue that holds this sport together has never been stronger. And for me, there's a sense of pride in our community that we have been able to maintain that through all of this and come out at the other side of it as strong as we have. So for me, it's the way the community has stayed together. I guess it has been the number 5 surprise for me.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number.
This ties into my number 5, just because it happens to tie into the fact that I'm at these tournaments right now. And more so than that, when you sit there and you start realizing that you're sitting next to your people that you respect, your idols, the people you look up to, and you realize that you're like maybe kind of on par with them, not on par, but like at least in the same room as them. And then you're sitting there at this lovingly 1987 upholstered bar at the Bardo in Austin, Texas, and you look up and you see in the background lurking a Mr. Jim Stevens, who you have known as the voice of foosball your entire life, hopping in on every single song in karaoke. Mr. Karaoke, Jim Stevens, has got to be the thing that blew my mind, because every single time I saw anybody singing, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was Alice in Chains. It didn't matter if they were crooning something. It didn't matter. Jim Stevens was there. He was freaking Batman. And it was really both as inspiring as it was terrifying. And for me, number 4 has got to be Mr. Karaoke, Jim Stevens.
Wow. How do
Oh my
you live
goodness.
that one down? That's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think what he was implying there, yes, I did do a few solos,
A
but I
few
think what he was
solos.
implying was
You
that I
did
was also,
backup.
I did backup, and it was only to support
Yeah,
those singers. I'm a team guy, right? I wanted to be
yeah.
able to support these other singers, and my musical tastes are fairly versatile from Pearl Jam to Tchaikovsky, really.
Yeah, I've always thought they were very
And
versatile.
but thank you, I think for that.
How do you sing
But I'll tell you what,
Tchaikovsky?
it may never happen again, Tom.
Yeah,
That may
no,
never happen
no.
again. That might have been a
It
one
has to
time
happen.
thing.
Please don't say it
No,
so.
time is
Please
a flat circle. It
don't
has
say
to
it
happen
so.
always.
It was magical. It really was. It was
You never did
incredibly
Mac the Knife.
enjoyable. But we'll do Mac the Knife if it ever does happen
Love
again.
it.
But no, it was super fun. What a great time. That tournament again is so emotional on so many different levels, and that
Hmm.
was part of it that weekend. It was a chance to kind of let loose and let go and open up. And I had people come up to me after that and say, "Jim, we saw a whole different side of you there in the bar." And I said, "Thank you." I think, which
Thanks.
is what I say to you tonight as well, Adam.
I love it.
Yeah.
For me, number 4. And again, these aren't huge surprises. And I guess the surprise on this one is that, this gentleman has set a standard for better than 45 years of incredible excellence and doing it like no other athlete, quote unquote, in the world, being able to perform at the highest level for that long. And this year, Todd Alfredo has not had a Todd Alfredo like year. I think we have had him one match maybe in the pits on video this year. I've seen him play maybe one match. He has not really done anything in any events of note, any open events. And of course, that with anybody else, any other mortal human being, you would think that's to be expected. He's been playing the game on a regular basis since the mid '70s, right? And here he is, 60 years old, now 61 this year, and he's still up till this point has been one of the top 5 players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That is no longer the case. And I guess for me, obviously for a variety of reasons, I mean, Todd taking a year and a half off from foosball when it has been such an everyday part of his life forever, you can see how that could cut into his abilities to win. Especially when you're talking about a guy that is 60 years old. And so for me, I guess the biggest surprise, and again, it's all based on the fact that he set this standard that no one else in any sport anywhere has ever done, that it is surprising to some degree to see Todd finally sort of come back to earth and finally be mortal and human and vulnerable and beatable. And so for me, number 4 is Todd Alfredo now being, for the most part, just another pro master player.
FoosTalk
And I mean
Live
that with all
Top
due respect.
5. Number 3.
So after my first tournament at nationals this year with Jim and Inside Foos, a little bit later, a few weeks later, and I can't remember the exact date, um, I was asked if I wanted to hop on and do something new, not just new to me, but new to basically foosball. And I didn't really think about it at the time, nor the implications of it until last night when I was watching one of my beloved player bases, the Pacific Northwest, play at the tournament, the Zeke Mullins Open. And what I'm talking about is that Garlando tournament in Austria, Jim. That was in Austria, correct? Or that we
Yes.
did the remote
Hmm.
commentary, and then we did the remote commentary this weekend in Portland, and we also did remote commentary in Louisiana. We've done remote commentary in Manchester, and we've done remote commentary in New York. And it's had its ups and downs. It's been a learning experience for everybody involved. But to me, even though the technology was so obviously in our faces, it has been a shocking surprise to me to see the advent of the shrinking of the global football community and the access that's starting to happen, that we can be seeing all these things at the click of a fingertip. And that to me is the most surprising. And I don't know if that's related to the pandemic. I don't know if it's a confluence of technology, if it's just all these different things, but it is just it gives me goosebumps, the thought of where this could go. So for me, remote foosball, the ascendance of remote foosball commentary and watching has been for me number 3.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it is all of the above. I think the different reasons that you documented there for it happening, and we've seen it happen in other sports. Of course, baseball basically shut down, played before empty stadiums, and the announcers were in their dens at home, commentating much like we do. I'll have one more a statement on that. In that, for me, there isn't anything like being in person at an event. There isn't. It's not replaceable. Doing it remotely is still, practicing my art, my craft, but it isn't quite the same. It's a kind of a different animal for me. It's still my style of commentary. I'm still executing that, but it isn't quite the same. Although it is still certainly very enjoyable to do so. And the fact that we can do it, that we can now commentate, and we have a team now. We have a team of commentators with Keith Glenn, with Adam, and with Mark Torres, and with Chase Pennell, who helped out at the Worlds, and others. Miriam Ali even doing a little commentary, and Jimmy Love.
That's great.
So we have a team. We have a crew of a stable of commentators now, and who can do this sort of thing and bring so much to any tournament now, anywhere in the world. And it is a marvelous thing. It really is a wonderful thing. But for me, still nothing quite like being there in person. For me, number three is the vulnerability of Tony Spredeman. And again, these guys set such a standard, right? They set such a high standard. I mean, Tony at one point went a year and a half without losing a match, basically, without losing an event. To see him obviously losing to Tommy York at the Texas State Championships, and an incredible performance by Tommy. But again, it wasn't an A+ performance from Tony in that match. Not to take anything away from Tommy. Then to see our guest tonight, Blake Robertson, beat him twice down in Florida at the Beach Town Beatdown. Now, of course, other circumstances factor in there, but still, right? And then at this year's Tornado Championships, Tony didn't win an event, right? When was the last time that happened? That's unthinkable. For Tony not to win an event. And again, he still is winning here, and he's winning there, and he's still doing his thing. And he's still, of course, when we talk about the best players in the world, it's still him pretty much at the top of the list. But he has certainly shown this year, and again, all these different circumstances that we've documented, COVID, et cetera, everything that influences all of these topics from 2021 factor in. But it's the vulnerability of Tony Spredeman. That's my number three.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
So we talked about this a bit during the introduction, but I think it's something that really needs to be looked at and talked about and celebrated. We're talking about the Zeke Mullins Open. We're talking about what we're seeing in Michigan. We see the Louisiana State happening. We're seeing a lot of these tournaments, this resurgence of tournaments that are regional tournaments. And this is something this was the model of tournament soccer back in the 70s, and it worked to a certain degree, but it had its limits because so much of it was based on promotions pulled from table sales. That's a glass ceiling. It's going to happen. It always will happen. And the biggest problem I think that we've seen in the last 20 years is that we see people that are doing these regionals and having maybe a moderately successful $5,000 here and there, trying to turn it into the next Colorado State. You can't be the next Colorado State. There's so many variables involved. So much of it is something that you cannot control. What I believe needs to be done is something like Portland, something like what we're seeing in Michigan happening, where you become 4 times a year a $5,000, 4 times a year a $10,000. What that does to the player base, what that does to the abilities of the players there, far exceeds anything that will happen from some pie in the sky thing where you think you're going to have a $50,000 once a year in your state. It's just not going to happen. And I think having relative achievable goals that support your player base within 2 to 3 states distance was always the lifeblood of foosball, but it wasn't done because it wasn't done for a long term because it was based in a bad business model. And if we can turn this around and do something that maybe Colorado State's doing, which is arguably major, but doing on a small scale with promotions, to me, that's the future. You couple that with Foos Clubs USA and getting kids involved. To me, number 2 is a resurgence of the regional lifeblood and the flow of foosball at the national level.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. We talked about it earlier. I'm certainly a proponent of that, and I think the U.S. club system is also going to factor in. That's different than Foosball Clubs USA. I think that's going to factor in as well. For me, number 2, and we'll go back to the table here. Ryan Moore's a great player, no question about it. One of the greatest players we've ever seen. But I don't think anybody envisioned Ryan Moore coming basically out of semi-retirement for the last year and a half or whatever, and then coming out and tripling at the Tornado Championships. Nobody saw that coming. There's no way you would have predicted that. Even he, I think, would have been surprised if we had said to him, Ryan, you're going to triple. And he would have shook his head and say, no, not a chance. I just haven't played enough, etc. But he did. And he did it in a fashion that we've never seen before, winning at forward, winning at goalie. And really, I don't think he lost a match except for the first set of the open singles final. But I think that to me has got to be at least the second biggest surprise. And I could have put that at number one, because it's almost shocking to think that a player can take that much time off, a player who has never tripled at the Tornado Championships before. Only two other players ever have, right? In Steve Murray and Frederic Collignon. And for him to come out and do that after taking all that time off, and we talked to Ryan a couple of weeks ago, and we saw what kind of frame of mind he was in, right? And he came into it relaxed, came into it feeling good about life, came into it wanting to just be there and do it. And of course, he played with Blake Robertson, who was in a zone of his own, and that effort was extraordinary. I don't think there's many teams in history, or if any, that could have beaten them that weekend. That's how good they were. But nobody saw that coming. It was a shocker. It was a surprise. And for me, it was the number 2 surprise of 2021.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents the top 5. Number 1.
So I'm going to apologize in advance here for this one, because this is a little more intense probably than maybe what you might be expecting on a Sunday night. But for me, the word loss stands out more than anything else. What we've all lost is, as foosball players, as friends, what we lost from COVID, but who we've lost to personally to us over the last couple of year or so has been hard to process or discuss. And I don't understand. I don't know if it's related to like the backdrop or contrast to the whole COVID thing and the whatever. I have no idea. But I feel like the subtext that beneath all of the different tournaments we've seen this year, where we've seen so many people out there in force wanting to be back together again, because they know what it is that we had and we lost. Not just people, but just a lifestyle and a way of being. To see that together again, not only just contrasted with the loss that we've had, but the desire to be together again and to do what we do as foosball players, but as humans, on the level that we want for it to be meaningful, that we say that it matters 5 years from now, 10 years from now. To me, that has been the most surprising. It's been an affirmation of why we do what we do. So to me, number 1 has been loss.
Yeah, I think my number 1 kind of dovetails with that. I have it written down as kind of simply, these incredible turnouts we've had, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's there was a lot of doubt. We all remember where we were when we found out that the world had shifted on its axis, right? And life would never be the same. And what that meant to us as a community and as a player base, as competitors, as friends. And so I think for me, it is this year, this biggest surprise has been these huge numbers we're getting at these tournaments of players returning, wanting, as Adam said, to feel again that what we had, and now we appreciate it. We certainly took it for granted, didn't we, for a long time, what we had and how special it was. And then to have it taken away from us, and really the rug pulled out from underneath us, literally overnight, right? And then little by little, as really the awakening, this rude awakening, just continued to dawn on us. What does this mean? What is this going to mean to going to tournaments and to our friendships and seeing people in person and to our business? And how will this change the sport moving forward? But beginning, really, for me, it was Texas State. When we saw this, when we saw the numbers, when Steve Murray told us a month before that he had never seen numbers like this in terms of hotel room sales and pre-registrations, et cetera. And we were like, wow, that's amazing. That's stupendous. After all we've been through and all we've had to survive, and what we thought could be, what could happen, right? And so, and then it continued with the Nationals, and now with Colorado coming up, and with these other events around the country that are setting, records for the numbers of players coming. And it's, I think a lot of it, like Adam says, it comes from our realization of what we lost. And it isn't just, it's players we've lost. It's friends we've lost. It's that feeling we've lost of community. And this ties back into my number 5 with community and how it's responded. But this is a little bigger than that. We have responded overwhelmingly so with these turnouts in support of these events, and the feeling that we get, right, Adam? Right, Tom? You were there at Texas. The feeling that we had in that room, right? That was
palpable,
unexplainable. It was just this visceral feeling of togetherness and goodness and kindness. And maybe there were 3 referees called all weekend in Texas, right?
Right.
I mean, it was really something. So for me, the simple answer is these big turnouts. But it's really a lot more than that. And I think Adam detailed his perspective beautifully. So that would be my number 1 surprise of the year is how we have responded this year in terms of supporting events, in terms of getting back out there in just record numbers.
Jim, I have to respond with a Joni Mitchell lyric. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone?
Yeah.
I love that line. That is that is one of my favorite lines in all of music.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
and it's funny how when you say that, and Adam's up in Yosemite, where they've had some locally, regionally there, they've had some huge fires that threatened these sequoia trees, right? These trees that have been there for 2,000 years. They've survived everything for 2,000 years. And then you get a sense of, the whole paving paradise and put up a parking lot. Let's be careful about that stuff.
Right. No,
can someone please waterboard me? I would love someone to waterboard me. Right.
Here comes
now.
Mark. Here comes Mark.
Waterboard me, please.
Mark, you done eating?
What?
You done eating already?
Mark, do you have a hanky?
Let me tell you let me just give you I only got one of my surprising things. So, I was in bed and I was listening to a recording of myself doing a foosball broadcast, and I was just doing my thing, right? I was just rambling, and the soft hum of my voice, like a pheromone injection, like arousing all of everyone's senses all at once. And like I was delivering revelatory experiences and opening minds and like saving lives, where I was doing all that stuff. And then I realized it was my turn to speak again. And it was me.
Wow.
And it was just really the fact that I was there.
It's
right
just
then,
so meta.
In that moment.
I get it.
And then I cried. And my tears, like they broke my face.
No,
where my tears dropped.
I see. Yeah.
They became unicorns.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're saying you're your own father. I get that. That's the takeaway here. I respect that.
I'm being waterboarded by Mark's tears.
I am being.
What happened, man?
Anyway, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Of course.
We have certainly just been had.
This is also a night of revelation when it comes to what's happened in 2021, how amazing and how many surprising things have happened, not the least of which is the rise of a player that's deserved all along to be at the top of the echelon here and has now achieved that. We want to welcome back to FoosTalk Live, who's someone who we always look forward to talking to, by the way, Blake Roberts. Blake Robertson, thank you so much for being with us. Blake, are you there?
I'm here. What's up, guys?
What's happening,
hey,
man?
Blake.
You just wake up, bro?
You have arrived.
Yeah, man. Oh, watching Sunday.
Watching football. He's doing laundry, eating a little McDonald's. It's been a great night for Blake.
It is amazing though, and congratulations, man! It was just so great to see you play at the Worlds with obviously with Ryan, and that was just, I got to lead with that. How did that feel, man? This is about time, right?
Oh man, I couldn't even explain it. That was like the one thing growing up, is the open doubles or open at the Worlds, Tornado Worlds. It was incredible. I had a lot of pressure, a lot of mountain. I was thinking about it. I was leading up to it. We were supposed to play, 2019, and then it got canceled, and then got drugged out. Or 2020, canceled and got drugged out. And I took third with Brandon, and then I played with Todd and took second, and then I was playing with Ryan, and I felt good, and I just wanted to make sure that I was going to perform at my very best, no matter. I had my routine. I went back to the room. I was, watching Inside Foos, all the matches. I had it on my laptop, pulling it up on my TV, and I was just laying down, preserving all my energy, and watching as much as I could. So it felt good, celebrated. It was a lot of people were texting me and congratulating me. Ryan played great. He was fantastic. He won everything. I mean, he's a monster.
Sure.
So yeah, it felt amazing. It's starting. It feels even better. Like the more tournaments I go to, like in the moment, it was fantastic. Like it was sublime. I was just kind of overwhelmed. I looked in the crowd and I can see all these people and they're, like the emotions that they had, because I'm still wrapped up with adrenaline. And I could just see their faces, the picture that Adam took and the pictures that they took,
Sure.
kind of explains. I go back and look at it in the moment. But it was, it still sinks in, it still feels like sublime. It feels, unreal. It's like, oh my God, world champion.
Yeah. Well,
and that's nothing that they can never take that away from you.
That's right.
I mean, and now you win that world title, and coupled with the other things that you've won, I mean, you basically now have cemented your future in the Foosball Hall of Fame. It seems inevitable now. Once you've got that title, you have moved into this level of player that is at the very top, and so you can certainly be proud of it. And you were amazing. I think Ryan in our interview a couple of weeks ago said maybe he scored 3 for the tournament, which is oftentimes about what he averages per game back there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, he was making sure he was feeding you. You were playing amazing foosball. You mentioned it. You said how important that particular title was for you. You've won a couple of gold medals, I believe, with Team USA. You won the multi-table world doubles championship with Ryan in Murcia, Spain. But, we've talked to Frederick Collignon. We've talked to Tony Sprademan. We talked to these other players around the world who still count that title, the Tornado Championship, the Tornado World Championship, as the biggest title there is, right? It's the one. It's that one title that you want more than anything. Do you feel that way? You feel that way as well?
Oh God, yes. I mean, I'm a little biased because it's my home table. So I grew up knowing that's the creme de la creme. That's the World Series. That's the Super Bowl. I grew up with that pressure. I went to Spain and it was like, I played in it one time. I'm playing with Ryan. It's just different. The multi-table format, I'm kind of winging it. There's no pressure. There's nothing like the arena, the cameras. That was kind of cool when I first got into the arena, I think with Sully and Mix, and we're playing the French team. That adds a little bit of pressure, and that makes it really cool. But the fact that I don't really know anybody and they don't know me just doesn't, it doesn't amplify the intensity, I guess, to the point to where that it matters as much. I didn't really care, I didn't feel like the quality of competition with the multi-table format of people not knowing me and my not knowing them didn't feel, it didn't motivate me. It wasn't nothing really behind it that it was like, man, I really, really want to win this. Kind of like, not like the feeling that I had, that weekend in Lexington, Kentucky, like every day, just waking up, making sure, my shot's on point, my five's on point, my ball control. I didn't have that when I was in Spain. I mean, it's just different. You go, a lot of players probably from here go over there thinking more or less like a vacation. You're not necessarily over there to play competition. I mean, I'm sure like some of us, we're still there to win. I'm not saying that. But, it's a little bit different when you're in, the beautiful exotic country in regards to a hotel in Lexington, Kentucky. Just different.
Yeah, no. It seems like when you're standing at the podium at the end, receiving that gold medal with USA on your chest. I mean, it's a little different, right? It's not quite the same.
Oh, of course.
Same feeling.
Of course, that feeling is indescribable when they're playing your anthem. I mean, that is super cool. There's a lot of things that is a lot cooler than the Tornado Worlds. But if we're just talking strictly competition, That's to me, that's different. Now, of course, I think winning the World Cup was very important. Winning for Team USA, and you got the medals there, and you're the best on a multi-table foosball. You're the best in the world on all tables. That carries a lot of weight, and it should be recognized.
Sure.
It's huge, right? It's huge. I mean, I just grew up, like I said, I'm a little biased. Tornado was all I knew. That was the one event. I always go to the Tornado Worlds. And it's just so hard to get through that bracket on a tornado table all weekend, grinding on one of the most hard, one of the hardest tables to play on for 4 days to make it out and to do it in spectacular fashion. And I don't know, just the traditions that it carries, Todd coming up through the ranks, and then, the Freds, and then the Billies, and then the Ryans, and then the Tonys, of course. So you have to go through those walls, It's just different, I guess, when you compare competition to, the World Cup, for me anyways.
Sure. Now, when you're in the heat of that battle, when you're up there, especially when you're doing, that amazing job up front for Ryan, and of course in the Worlds, I was just wondering what was going through your mind as you guys were whittling away at Tommy Orr Jr. and of course his defender, Brandon. Yeah, I mean, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind?
Man, in the finals, it was Ryan. We jumped on him pretty good, mounted the pressure. We played him in the winners bracket in the semis, and went 4 games. I wanted to make sure I think I'm at the point in my foosball career that it's almost I just want to overpower whoever's on the other side of the table, whether it's Tommy, whether it's Tony, whether it's I don't care who it is, whoever's holding those front 2 rods. At least for me in doubles, I'm going to win the 5, and I want to score really good. And I came out, I scored really good on Brandon in the beginning. I took away a little bit, and I wanted to establish the middles kind of early. And then if I was hitting my pushes when I need to, or my pulls in the corners later, that was good. Get the pressure. First couple of balls are super important. Makes the other 5, makes the other forward really have to counter with, perfection. And, Tommy, I don't know if he was, really focused maybe going into this event. Didn't see him a whole lot on tour this year besides Texas.
Sure.
So I didn't really know what to expect. And, I kind of was hoping maybe he would start mis-executing if the pressure was building and mounting. And I knew Ryan was going to do Ryan things, so I didn't worry about nothing. I mean, he let me do what I wanted to do and allowed me to, get all the extra possessions, score. And then, his defense gets better, of course. And the pressure just kept mounting and mounting. We got to the 3rd game, and there was a little pivot where time started to slow down a little bit because it's getting closer and closer. And yeah. And I mean, so I could definitely feel it as the match was going on. And I'm like, man, I can't mess this up. I don't care what I do. I just can't mess it up.
Did you have to change your strategy at all by the time you got to that 4th game?
No. Well, we 3-straighted them in the finals.
Yeah.
So when we got to the 3rd game, it was kind of 2-2. Tommy was he was struggling a little bit up front, and I was still I still felt like I was in control, getting possessions and working the 5 bar. I started doing, I think, the skippy pass on them, the 2 weave. It was working for me. So I still felt good. Didn't really have to switch anything up. I remember feeling that pressure in the moment. Kind of like there was a moment where I looked in the crowd, and that's where I think I've learned I didn't do it all in Louisiana, is I just can't look.
Right.
It's hard for me. You can't look away. I see I start seeing all these people and the faces and emotions, and it's distracting. I love it. I love the crowd. I love the cheers. I wish, it was more involved. Sure. But as a player, I think I've learned that I just got to keep my head down.
Well, that crowd was electric too. They were just rooting for that match. That was just fantastic.
Hey, Blake, thank you. Adam here.
What's up, Adam?
Hey, man. Thanks for joining us here. A quick question. So I had quite a few people ask me when they found out you're going to be on with us tonight. They wanted to know. They wanted me to ask you this, and you don't have to give away company secrets, okay? But to most people, your quick shot read on your rollover is magic. And we all know there's a method to your madness, and you don't have to give it away, but like, could you give us like a bare bones nuts and bolts? Like, what's going on there with what you're seeing or doing?
That's a really, I get asked that question, believe it or not, often. So depending on who I'm playing, of course, I pretty much take advantage of the first hole I see. I mean, I know just because you're in one spot, you're not going to be there forever. And if I could get a sense of your timing, once I get the timing, doesn't matter what it is. Like, it could be like body language. It could be hand speed. If it could be aggressiveness. I kind of get a feel and vibe. That's where like the momentum and stuff like that comes in. But I'll see what you're giving me. And once I realize what you're giving me or not giving me, that's how I take advantage of it. Like, I kind of have a first read, and it's like, okay, so I set the ball up. And as I'm setting the ball up, I'm reading. I mean, a lot of people don't know that. You know, if you're moving at all, running the defense while I'm moving, setting the ball up, that's a read to me. So I'm reading way before people probably even think I'm reading. And so that's one thing. The second thing is I know I'm really, really fast to the corners. And I know when I was coming up, this was a couple of years ago, nobody gave me a 1 second push. It was just impossible. I still look at it. I mean, if you're going to give me a 1 second push and a wall pass, you're going to have a long match. And it might not be fun. And I'm a quick shooter. So if you give me that and it's like, easy pickings, I'm pretty much going to do it. And every now and then I'll do it until, it doesn't work. And every now and then I might do something different and get blocked and be like, why'd I do that? He's giving me the same hole every time, 1 second. So, I look at what I'm strongest at, whatever it may be at the time. And it's a quick read. I never want to get people to get my timing down. It's always something different. There's a system to it. If I do a 3 second wait on the pull side, if I'm shooting early on the push side, then if I rock, maybe they don't think I'm going push because I haven't done it. If I rock, go pull, and I do 1 second pushes, you could try to get timing down, right? A lot of people think I'm a pattern shooter. And so, like, if I know that you think I'm a pattern shooter, which a pattern shooter is somebody that shoots middle, the next shot they shoot push, the next shot they shoot pull. They don't ever repeat the hole. If I know that I think that's what you're doing, you shoot the same hole over and over until I realize you're on it. And it just takes like half a second for me to feel if the hole is there or not, because I hit them my rollover right now feels incredible. Like, Tommy came up to me in Louisiana, Tommy Atkinson. I was like, dude, your shot looks freakish. And it felt like, it felt like that.
I think we'd all agree. So I just want to reflect back real quick, because what you said was, everything you said wasn't about so much the whole in as much as the entirety of what it is you were looking at, the player, what their body language is, what they're doing, what you can do. And I think that speaks to the level at which you play at versus maybe what a amateur expert pro might be doing. Does that sound about right?
Right. Oh yeah. That sounds pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. The logistics of it is whatever you're strong at, whatever your shot. For me, it's my 1 second push, and I look to see, if you're there or not there, because I can hit it really deep, and it only takes, like, a lot of people think they're there, but they're really not. And so if I, to me, and I have hitches, I could do rocks. I've been kind of working on my rock, slowing it down. And I'm really good at actually just not even rocking and blasting to a corner without a rock. And so for me, like, it's just something different. And if I can take advantage of a defense, no matter what it is, I've seen so many defenses. I just look at a hole, and I don't waste my time. I don't think about it. I do think about it, but I mean, like, I don't. If you want to read, eventually one of those reads, you're just going to be confused. There comes a point in time where you don't need to complicate things. You just need to make it simple. It's either there or it's not there.
So being able to read that quickly that must take a lot of discipline, a lot of mental discipline.
Oh God, yes. I mean, if you ever saw me growing up, I was really, really bad about shooting fast. I always have a joke that I was like, one day I'm going to get a time called on me. I don't care. And I've told myself, like, in the match, I want a time call on me, and I can't seem to wait that long. Right. Even when I'm trying to get the call. I mean, when I was coming up, I probably shot everything underneath a couple of seconds. Yeah. So given my experience on that, and I've worked at it. I've taken my time, and now I pick and choose when I need to. And I mean, sometimes I just take my time just to make sure that my next shot, just so I could plan my next shot. Like this shot right here, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take 10, 11 seconds, whatever happens. But it's going to build up to my next shot. My next shot's going to be a quick shot, to a hole, depending on what I read from or depending on what I saw in the defense when I'm waiting. So all that kind of matters in just the setup. Sometimes I've been mixing it up a lot. I mean, all of that kind of matters when it comes to a shot. You can do so many things.
Yeah, and all of what you just said is sort of a testament, I think, to your growth as a player and your maturity. There was a point where yes, everything was 1, 2, 3, go. You were still a top 4, 5, 6, 8, player on tour, no question. Doing that, the only other guy we've ever really seen get away with that was Tommy Atkinson when he was younger, right? But something has happened to you. You're not that player anymore. Clay Toomey and I used to talk about it when we look at your statistics of when you would shoot the ball. If you shot the ball basically under 5 seconds, your shooting percentage was 60, 70% or whatever against just about everybody. If you took 6 seconds to 10 seconds, it dropped significantly. And we never really got to 10 to 15. But that's changed. Now we watch you. Yes, you can still do that quick hitter like nobody. It's deadly. It's killer. You're so fast to the corners. And then again, you also get that great read back down the middle. But these days, you can take your time. That stat has changed. When you need to, you can slow it down, that possession, and take that 6 seconds, 8 seconds, 12 seconds on there and still be just as effective. And I think that's a lot of what has happened to you. Let me ask you this. I mentioned, obviously, you've been a top 10 player for a long time. You're now basically a top 3 player on the American tour. Okay. What is it that changed with you? What was it? And of course, you and I get at it every once in a while, because I used to say Blake Robertson is knocking at the door, and now it's about 2 or 3 years ago you slammed that door down, buddy, and then you're going through other doors above that now even. But what is it? What is it that took you from a guy that was generally looked at as a 5 to 10 player, on tour, to now a guy that is looked at as a top 3 player? What in your mind changed in you?
Man, that's a very good question. I remember breaking down the master door. That probably got me in like the top 5 to 10 range when I turned master. And I just finished my bachelor's degree, and I was just working, and I had a table. And so I would spend a lot of time just playing table time, and that was huge. And I think that was 2018, and I think I won. I was the number 1 doubles player. Clay did the stats. There was only 2 tournaments I didn't win that year. And of course, I think Ryan and Tony were playing with sponsors or this and that, but I had a very good year. Kind of helped my confidence knowing, you just need those notches. You need those notches. You need to be in the moment, and you need to experience it, and you need to understand what it feels like. And then, because these guys that are in the moment, they know what it feels like. They know how to control it. They know how to manipulate it. So that is just huge. That just comes from experience. And, like they said, the more experience you have, it's just good. It's just good all around, no matter what you do in life. And these guys have, experience. They know what to do. They know how to manipulate it. They're winners. They know how to control the pace. And having those notches helped me tremendously to get to where I was at. Ryan playing goalie for me, that helps me. That helped me out a lot. Winning 2019 in Spain and going over there, playing for everything was magical. That was probably a huge thing for my confidence. Playing Iran 39-39, I get subbed in at the very end with Terry Rue. and I hit the magical aerial snake shot straight that goes 6 feet in the air and drops in, and everybody's freaking out. That was a magical moment. Just all these magical moments just building, and it builds up to, me and Ryan winning classical, me and Sully getting third, and mixed, and then me and Ryan winning open, and then I make the last point against Luxembourg, against Dos Santos and Yannick, all of that. Just, or Carlos and Yannick. I mean, all that mattered, and that was a magical weekend for me. And then coming back to the Tornado Tour, and just slowly creeping back, and just, that was it. I knew Ryan's just incredible. And I started working on my singles game, and I started doing a lot of 2 to 5 stuff. I'm really going to be working on that. And, doubles, I've always been pretty confident up there. There's just a couple of guys that gives me, obviously, that's going to be tough to compete. They're going to sit here and say, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to play. Guys like Tony or Ryan or Todd or AZ played great. Terry Rue, Tommy Atkinson, like those guys are going to give you fights. Mm-hmm. You go into it and just mentally – it's just confidence, all those notches under your belt, being in the moment, having the experience. And then I've learned just playing foosball, seeing foosball. And now that I've, won the one thing that I think is just super incredible, I get to take a ride in the back seat a little bit, or that's kind of what it felt like in Louisiana. And I got to look at everything from almost like a different view. And it felt great. And it was almost like, wow, this game is amazing, but it's also really simple. When you don't play with so much pressure and you just play to have fun, mm-hmm. You could really that's where top potential, peak performance comes out.
No, I'm curious. So think back to when you were playing, you were going up in the ranks, amateur, expert, whatever. What would you tell the players out there right now that are going up in the ranks? What do you think is the biggest obstacle for them, I guess, between rank to rank and just getting better and winning?
To keep going to that next level, to try to keep bettering yourself. I would say for those players, it is execution. I mean, I think it's execution. I mean, if you can execute 90 to 100% of your 5-bar and your 3-bar, you're going to win all rookie, all expert. When you get to pro, you're going to have a little strategy behind it. I think if you watch a lot of those experts and amateurs play, a lot of it's mis-execution. It kind of happens more frequently in those ranks. So I would say practice. Just now, of course, you got to have strong practice techniques, which comes from. Tony's helping, or Tony and Brandon got the Foos, their marketing
series,
series, right? That's huge, and having you got to know what you're strong at, and if you are a slow, methodical player, there's a style, and there's ways to better your style. Whether that might be your style if you're quick and powerful, if you're young and talented and just not smart yet. I mean, there's just
you're right.
So many styles, and then depending on your style, that's what you whatever your weaknesses are. You have to be open to change. You have to be open to better yourself. You have to not be stubborn. You have to be willing to put your time in, because if you're ranked in those and you want to get better and you're ranked in those ranks, you're gonna have to put time in. You're gonna have to get on the table. And you're going to have to beat whatever dead horse you got to beat to overcome whatever obstacle that you have to overcome. For me, it was just kind of like stardom. I just went from rookie to semi-pro to pro, and then I was kind of at pro for a little bit, because once you get to pro, that's where you really have to work. You really have to think. You have to, basically carve this edge into your game, and the mental stressness comes into play. You have usually you'll have starting to have a nemesis at this point. Who's in the brackets. You're starting to look at the brackets, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy gives me trouble. How's he playing this weekend? So, but yeah, I would say just Table time, practice, and execution. And you're going to have to just do time. You can't just go to a tournament and expect, normal results. You have to put time in, you got to practice.
Yeah, there's a lot of those things, but you're kind of making the point that, because we talk so much about table management and using timeouts and strategic approaches, et cetera. But really, if you get on a table and you practice the right way, if you practice executing on the 5 and practice executing on the 3, your execution percentage is going to be higher. And at the lower levels, that is probably, like you say, more important because you're going to go up against most players who don't necessarily have a high execution percentage and are making mistakes, are mis-executing. And that's what really hurts him at that level, right? Table management, those skills kind of evolve and grow as you move up in the rankings. But getting on a table and working on all those various fundamentals is really what you need to do early on, isn't it?
Exactly. If you're a rookie or if you're an expert or below, if you just get on the table, practice ball control, practice, ball prediction, how the ball is, catching and ball, and just passing it back and forth, execution. If you get that execution up in the 75% range, it doesn't matter. I think you're going to just be better. And I think you're going to win most of the tournaments if you do that, because a lot of the other players are not going to be executing.
No, not at that level. But back in, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here on you. Back in, I want to say it was 2006, 2007, one of the first times I ever came to Kentucky for a tournament on the IFP tour back then, the kickoff of the Kentucky State Championships. Mary Moore brought 2 young players up to introduce to me and said, Jim, these 2 guys are future superstars, both of them out of the state of Mississippi. This is Blake Robertson and this is Daniel Coulter. And I watched you guys play, and I think you might have played in the finals of junior 17 and under or whatever that weekend. And you guys both were super talents. And of course, Daniel passed away this year. And I know he was on your mind. He was in your thoughts. He was in your heart when you were competing at the Tornado Championships this year. Talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about your relationship with Daniel. You guys kind of were on parallel paths early on, coming out of the same state, similar age, similar talent level, and how much he was on your mind as you won that Tornado Championship.
Daniel was huge for me. I mean, we started off playing at a skating ring. This is when I first started playing when I was about 12. He was the best player at the skating ring, and he would win all the tournaments there, and all the kids were kind of young. And then I started playing at the local Jackson, Mississippi, where the big tournaments, where the big boys played, and I got really good. And I came back to the skating ring like a month later, and he saw me, and he was like, "What? How'd you get that good? How are you beating me? Blah, blah, blah." I was like, man, this is where it's at. And then all of a sudden, he didn't care. He just wanted to get better. And he started showing up, and we're like 12, 13. We ended up playing, getting really good. And I'm like, hey, man, do you want to, go to the Worlds? It's coming up. And it was 2005 Worlds in Dallas. It was the same year Katrina hit, too. And we ended up going, and we played together, and we got like 17th or something in junior doubles. And but no, he was huge for me playing. And then I got third in semi-pro with Dewey. That was just something on the side. It was kind of crazy how that happened. We went back and we practiced and we played together nonstop every single day for years. So from like 12 to like 17, and he even lived with me at one point for like 6 months. Went to a tournament in Alabama, and he just ended up, coming back. He stayed with me for a little bit. We lived together, played together. One time, we went back to the Worlds in 06. We won amateur doubles at the Worlds in Vegas. We just kind of took off, fell in love, met some, crazy good foosball players and some good people. And we were getting sponsored. We're going to different tournaments, and we just had this connection and bond for just every tournament. We always roomed together, lived together. I mean, he was pretty much a brother. He was, we ride or died together for years and years. Towards when I went to college, it was a little bit different. I had to take a step back from foosball a little bit, and I had to focus on my career, my life. He ended up leaving and going to get married, him and Carly, having a kid. He had some demons. He would never really talk to me about it. He had too much love and respect for me to tell me the truth. Even when I knew, but I never really forced him on it. I just kind of would, say the right things if I needed to, or, it was just hard, I guess. And then I saw him in Spain going back to the tournament, and, it just didn't look good. I was always saddened by situations like that with him. But he was just such a good guy, fun loving, happy. All he wanted to do was just kind of have fun. It's almost like the life of the party. And that's kind of how he's always been. That's always his personality. Never a mean dude, not an angry bone in his body. Always had a nickname for everybody. He was a crazy influence on me in foosball. I mean, he was just as good as me, if not better, back and forth. People always used to pick on, like, oh, which one's the better one, this and that. There was one time in my house we played like over 130 games of singles, and we're just, hours and hours beating each other on the table. I think he had me like 63 to 57 or something. It was just, he was that good. But that was before I went to college, and, he had his things that he had to go through. Yeah, I went to the Bardo, and I wanted to play with Bill Bell. He was a huge impact for me, and Daniel too, growing up, and his wife passed away. So, and it was just, it's just, I think I was listening to the top 5, people that we've lost, and it's just, it's insane, the people, and I wasn't expecting that for Dan. It just wasn't expecting that from Daniel to happen a couple of weeks after. And then going into the Worlds, it just, I was just thinking about him every day. And, it was just, I grew up playing with the guy. He made me as good. He made me as good as I am today. And if it wasn't for him pushing me and challenging me and playing with me and practicing with me every single day after school or this and that, there's no way I'd be where I'm at,
Yeah, no, he's missed by the entire community, no question about it. A vibrant individual, as you say, not a mean bone in his body, super talent on the table. Nobody could sling a shot like him, right? From anywhere, anytime, no matter what. What a pleasure to watch, and what a great dude. So just switching gears again a little bit, we talk about Ryan Moore. You have a chance to play with Ryan Moore, right? Ryan freaking Moore, who has this reputation as this big, powerful, scoring goalie. But the truth of the matter is, I said this to Ryan a couple of weeks ago. If he was playing regularly as a goalie, he's the best goalie in the world, in my opinion. And it isn't just because he can shoot. He proved it. He didn't need to shoot with you, right? He just made all the right moves strategically with you. But he's also really, really good defensively. Nothing gets through that guy, right? What is it like knowing you as a forward? You don't have to worry a thing about your goalie. In fact, it inspires you in the sense that you feel this confidence emanating from this guy playing the goalie position for you. You know he's going to do his job plus, right? How is it for you to be able to play with a guy like that, who is making sure that you get all of your touches, that make sure you're in the game? He allows you, as you said, to do your thing. Talk a little bit about what it's like to play with Ryan Moore.
He's absolutely incredible. The best. I'd hate to say it because I love everybody I play with, but he's just almost like superhero. He's almost like Superman. It's just, he has everything he does mentally, physically. He's so smart. He might be one of the smartest foosball analytics IQ that I've came across as far as doubles goes. As far as, the guy doesn't get, I don't think, nearly as enough credit as how smart he is, due to his style and just how raw talent that he has. First time I played with him, I think it was 2017 Nationals. He's just, his energy. We're good friends. I've known him for a long time. And, we hung out in 2009 when we were riding the streets of Paris, listening to, rap CDs, going down, to the Eiffel Tower, just acting up as kids, So I have like a little camaraderie. I grew up with them, playing with them. So that obviously helps the team dynamics anyways. We're very similar in, that form. But him, he's just so strong. He's just everything he does. We won that match. We double did Tony and Mike Genshin. He scores matches on YouTube, or the first set anyways, and he scores like 11 or 12 out the back, goes into the second set, and then he blocks really well, enough for me to take over for the scoring, and it was just perfect to win that. And then ever since then, he's just been a dump truck. We went to the Nationals back in 2018, and I don't think he shot a shot from the 2-bar. And there was one match that we played, they wouldn't even let him get off the table after we played him until he shot a pull shot from the 2-bar. Serious. They wouldn't let him. They were like, that's messed up. I'm playing Ron Moore. He's playing in the back. Everybody gets so excited because they see his singles game and how he does in singles. I realize in doubles, he's just so smart. He doesn't have to do that in doubles. He could literally, if you have a forward, can catch the ball, catch passes, pick up loose balls, who's going to have advantage on that side of the table, and he can control speed, he can control pace, and he knows that. Like, he doesn't have to say it. He's smart. And it's incredible. And then the more possessions I get, the more pressure I build. His defense is like Bobby Diaz. He played with him, he learns it, he understands mental. He knows where he should be, he takes it away. He knows what your holes are, he knows your rocks, he knows your timing. And the more pressure, the better his defense gets. And it's just like, he's just controlling the ball, there was one save he made at the Worlds that he kept it in his area. I have no idea how he did it. It was just incredible. Like, just watching his gameplay and how he just it almost doesn't seem like he has nicks in his armor. I haven't seen a weakness in his goalie game playing with me, and we've played 4 tournaments together, 2 nationals, the World Cup, and then Worlds. It just seems like he gets better and better each time he plays with me, and his passes get smoother and crispier. And like you said, Jim, he's the best goalie I've ever seen on that 2-bar in that goalie position. And, if he decides that he wants to stay back there, and I know he wants to play, we're going to start hitting the big tournaments. I just want to see how high he can, raise the bar. The 2-bar, the 3, the goalie bars. I don't know if there is a limit with him. Knowing him, he's crazy.
So Blake, in the history of foosball, you've got amazing pairings like Lafredo and Collignon, and Tommy Atkinson and Rob Morris. I mean, are you guys going to be unstoppable like those people?
I can't speak on that. That's a good question. It depends on so many factors. I mean, that's going to be a longevity type question. If you're going to, Fred and Todd, that's all, it's incredible, all the world titles they won back to back to back. We are 4-0. We haven't lost a tournament. We've only dropped 1 set in 4 tournaments.
Wow.
Which was the first one that we played together in, which we had to come through a loser's bracket in that first nationals we played together. I don't know. It could it be? Maybe. Yeah. That's not for me to decide, I guess.
You got a better shot at it than any other pairing right now that I've seen. It's your performance at the Worlds, my God.
Yeah. I feel very comfortable like playing with him and any other 2 people on the other side of the table on a tornado table. I was hoping Fred and Atha was going to come. I heard they were going to come to the Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I would love. I feel with him back there right now, playing the way he's playing. Put Batman and Catwoman over there. I don't care. He's playing ridiculous, and I'm playing pretty good. So,
well, we a couple of weeks ago we had the honor of Lewis Cartwright joining us for a second time on FoosTalk Live, and we had a lot of fun with Lewis, and he brought up this one topic about when he was, at his peak, he had certain players that really weren't ranked anywhere near him that used to give him a bit of a problem. Now, he mentioned the name Rodney Jenkins.
Jenkins.
And he said, Rodney Jenkins, I mean, I just, I don't know what it was about his game, but he got me, more than he should have. So who's your Rodney Jenkins? Got to ask you that question.
I gotta. All right. I mean, there's a couple ways I can answer that. Like, who's my Rodney Jenkins at this moment?
Yeah.
Or like who? Okay, at this moment, my Rodney Jenkins. Doubles. I don't think I have one, honestly.
Okay.
Singles, obviously, it's got to be the champ, or Tony. It's got to be that guy. That guy is ridiculous, and Ryan too. Those two guys are really the only two guys that in singles that give me fits, and I can't beat. And I mean, there's tons of reasons I can explain. I mean, there's guys that play me where I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I got two homies that I grew up with in Mississippi, Dewey Culpepper and Marcus Heyman. Super talented individuals. They won the pro doubles at the Worlds this year, and it's like, man, they play me and they see me and they get happy. Like, it's almost like, they get a buy. They get super excited to play me because they think they know me so well and so good that they're just going to strum me. And they smile. They come up to me and goes, yeah, you see the bracket. Like, they just carry this confidence. And I'm like, dude, every single time they give me fits. I hate it. I hate it. Dewey, I grew up with them. I played with them. And, it's just two of my homies, and they know my game. They know my style. They know what I like, and they won't give it to me. And they give me a hard time every time. They played me the way they played it. I'd rather play Todd and, Steve Murray or anybody else other than them before I want to play those two guys. They just play me that good.
Now you're being honest. Love that.
Of course. They know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Dewey's brother Shannon comes up to me. You see the bracket, don't you? I mean, they all know. I mean, it's like it's been an inside joke for a couple of years. I mean, they beat me and Brandon Moylan at the Worlds to get to 5th, 6th.
Wow.
They played we were sitting 9th, 12th in the Worlds, and me and Brandon lost to them 8-6 or something like that in overtime.
No kidding.
They ended up playing Tommy Atkinson and Atha to go to King Seed. They ended up losing that match, but yeah, they give me fits. They, Dewey plays me super hard on the 5 bar, and Dewey, when he's confident and he's rolling, and his 5 is good. His shots really well too. And if he builds pressure, Marcus's defense, and Marcus just gets back there and slings it from the 2 bar. And, those guys, just hard. I can't control them,
That is your name.
They're too good. Yeah. They're too good.
You have kryptonite after all.
Of course. Now, you have to figure it out. I can't tell you, but I mean, everybody can be beat. I didn't think that I'd be double dipping Tony and Eric in 7 games, but it's possible.
Yeah. So on that note, 5 years from now, where would you like to be?
I would like to be on an island sipping a nice fruity drink with an umbrella in it, my ass in the sand. I would like to hopefully not be in this country, maybe not, somewhere exotic, and not working is where I'd like to be in 5 years.
Nice. How about
Blake, speaking of not working, you're teeing up my next question. I was just amazed to see that we never talk about like what we do outside of foosball tournaments. Like it's funny. Like Kathy Atkinson sent me a message saying that I think she said most people probably think Tommy just has a foosball rod in his hand 24/7, right?
Right.
And you are a respiratory therapist. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Yeah.
What? And I have to get foosball nerdy, and I apologize, but like, what is a respiratory therapist? What do you do? And B, does what you do, because it's in the health industry and maybe it's high stress, does that relate to foosball in any way for you?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that it makes me comfortable with high pressure situations, and it lets you deal with a lot of stress. There is a lot of stress. A respiratory therapist, for people that don't know, is basically like a heart lung specialist. They kind of work from the chest up. They don't really do anything else. I work at a trauma center, a level 2 trauma down here in St. Pete, Florida. So I respond to all trauma alerts, whether it's a motorcycle accident, all the way to gunshots, to all the way to, pedestrians getting hit by cars, bicycles. It doesn't matter. Any type of trauma alert that comes to the hospital, I respond to. I'm responsible for the airway. making sure the patient's breathing, making sure they have a patent airway. There's obviously, I have an ER physician that's with me, trauma surgeon, the whole trauma team's there. When I'm in the hospital, I'm all over the hospital. We respond to code blues, rapid responses. We do certain procedures, some of them invasive as far as endotracheal intubations, which that is basically when you have a breathing tube placed in your throat to help you breathe when you're not breathing as well or not breathing at all. We put catheters in the artery. They're known as arterial line insertions for continuous blood pressure monitoring for critical care patients. And we do bronchoscopy assistings with the pulmonologist or the intensivist, which a bronchoscopy is basically when the doctor takes a scope and he goes and he looks at your lungs, cleans it out, does a biopsy. We also do tracheostomy assist with the surgeons at bedside when needed. Tracheostomy is basically when they put an airway in your neck. In regards to the mouth, because of over time the corrosion, the granulation of the tissue in the throat, it's just not good to have a tube in your throat for that long. So they replace it with a shorter, more stable airway if it's going to be long term. And then I also just do normal things like I can give you a simple breathing treatment to an asthmatic that comes into the ER. I can put them on a BiPAP, which is like machine to help you breathe, but it's non-invasive. It's just a mask. So I run blood gases and stuff like that. I mean, that's basically what a respiratory therapist is.
But I mean, when it comes down to it, those oftentimes it's like life and death, right? Like, is that...
We get put into like I said, we respond to those trauma alerts, and a lot of times the code blues and the rapid responses, because breathing can just stop on a dime, and there's 5 people in the room and they're all screaming, and you're like, there's a lot of chaos and you have to control it. And sometimes, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I have a way of talking that seems like I can almost not like de-thread I can almost bring down the intensity in certain ways, and by saying certain words or controlling this situation, manipulating anxiety because you can feel. It's almost like you're in a conversation. So you've been in a conversation with 2 people and they're getting kind of heated, and you can say something to bring it down, or you can manipulate the conversation and direct it in a different way. You have to do that all the time when you're in a critical situation, because it's life or death, like you said. If you can't get an airway and the oxygen is going down and down and down. There's been times where the doctor asked me to step in and just to get a different view. And there's communication has just to be perfect between everybody. It has to be a level of respect, and it's almost like a level of it's just when you're in that stressful moment and you have multiple people and there's somebody's life that's on the line. I mean, everything gets pushed aside, and you just have to rise to the occasion. And I mean that you can translate that into foosball. You can translate that into probably a lot of things. But I would say it definitely helps me in foosball.
Yeah, it would have to, wouldn't it? It would really have to.
Yeah.
Just my last question, real quick. This is it. Like, what could you give us an example of your calm voice, your deep, deep? What does it sound like?
Bedside manner. Yeah, let's hear the bedside manner.
I'm such like a go easy guy, so like it's kind of my bedside manner. Wow. Man, it's so tough, man. I don't know. You got me on the spot.
Let's set the scene. I just showed up. I've got a screwdriver in my trachea. What do you tell me?
Hey, excuse me, sir. I'm Blake. I'm your respiratory therapist. I see that there's a screwdriver in your neck. Please stay calm. We're going to work on it. How's your breathing? I know you can't talk right now, so let's just refrain from talking right now, and we're going to work on it. You in any pain? Just nod your head yes or no. Okay,
that's badass.
Good.
Adam,
I'm sorry, Adam. My aim wasn't very good, and it was a flathead. It went in a lot easier than that Phillips.
You heard what he's doing though. He's being calm and he's stating facts, but he's not being overly emotional. And that's badass, Blake.
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
It really is. Blake Robertson, as we're finding out tonight, not just a pretty face with wearing a great bandana. But no, Blake, really some interesting insights. I've learned some things about you tonight, and it's been fascinating. We do have our super fan, Reese Roberts, watching over in the UK, who has a question for you. Of course, you play in an area there in the Tampa Bay region that is as strong as anywhere in the world, right? Absolutely the strongest. We're just going to say it. There is no stronger foosball area anywhere in the world when it comes to players. Reese, though, is interested in knowing, how many hours a week do you practice? And we're going to isolate it down to, say you've got the World Championships coming up in 3 weeks. What does your practice regimen look like?
I would say, well, a week before the tournament there's no table time. There's more getting my mind right. I focus on other things. I would say I would probably put about an hour, maybe 30 minutes to an hour a day. I would probably I try to set aside one day and to really go hard for about 3 or 4 hours. But I need another person for that. I need somebody like Tony and Kane played at Kane's house one day 2 weeks before the Worlds this year. And we played for like 4 hours, and it was just singles, and it was because Tony wanted to work on his singles, and so which was fine with both of us. So we sat there and we had a session. You need to have very good talent around you, and it's willing to really raise the bar. It's going to push you to a better player. Like Daniel did that for me coming up. I live around a lot of talent. Tony, Tom, Tommy. It does. I could go on and on. And to get on a table, and depending on what you want to work on, and you isolate it, and you focus, and you run drills, and you practice it until you perfect it, and then you keep practicing some more. Now, that's table time. Of course, a week before the tournament, I always get a massage. That's one of my things that I do. I don't think about foosball for a couple of days before the tournament because I want my mind clear. I'll go catch a movie. I'll go on a walk. I'll go work. I'm not working out, but I'll go out, be outside. Anything to help relax me, help me zen, essentially, and just basically get ready for just a weekend of battling and torture that I'm about to put on my body.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And thanks, Reese Roberts, while watching there in the UK. Well, it's been a fascinating kind of a trip through your foosball life tonight, and even outside your life a little bit. And we really appreciate you joining us, and continued success to you. You have come so far as a person and as a player. And speaking for the entire foosball community, we're really proud of you and looking forward to what's next for the great Blake Robertson.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I feel like I'm still getting better. I'm still practicing. I'm still like trying to little things make myself better, and I'm just trying to enjoy the moment, try to enjoy life. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be blessed with everything that I've been blessed with.
And speaking of what's next, Blake, are we going to be seeing you at Colorado State?
Yeah, I'll be in Colorado.
Nice.
Who are you playing with, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind. I'm playing with Kane Gabriel.
Oh,
nice. Wow.
And there's if you're looking for sand and a place to retire in 5 years, Costa Rica, I understand, is a pretty good place to go.
A lot of laying there on the beach.
You're going to be
laying there on the beach with a cold beverage and a bloody screwdriver, and just enjoying life. 5 years.
Bloody screwdriver.
Where did that
come?
That is good, Jim. Oh, that's your exit strategy, Jim. I get it. Okay, I'll cover up my trachea.
Oh boy, it's this tends to happen, Blake.
It's Halloween.
Sorry about that.
It's Halloween. It all fits.
Oh, wow. Well, you just bring out the best in Jim. I can tell that right away.
Of course.
So Blake, we're looking forward to seeing you compete, of course, in Colorado, and of course 2022. How's it looking for the World Cup for you? Are you going to step out there and represent the U.S. Once again?
Yeah, of course. I don't know if I've been asked to be on the team or anything, or if that's been any talks.
I don't think there's any question you'll be on the team. I think we can count on it.
It's in Nantes, which is where my first World Cup back in 2009 when I was there, and I'll be there. I got plans for it. I'm still I'm still hitting the drive right now, and it looks like everything's gonna actually fall into place, hopefully perfectly, actually. And
Cool.
I got some things I'm working on. But as far I'm hoping that February, Florida State, I'll be there. Colorado, I'll be there. Florida State, Vegas. Hopefully, I'll be in Vegas, Costa Rica. I think Texas State, and then that would probably maybe the beatdown, but I think the beatdown might be too close to Nance, so I don't know. But that would probably be my my foosball lineup leading up from January to November to July.
Cool. Sounds like a plan. And when you go back to the beatdown, how do you feel about buying timeouts?
Man, if it's Tommy Atkinson, then I mean I'll sell him every time out I got. That guy is a good buddy, and I mean he is just absolutely a riot and hysterical, and his personality and character I think trumps no other. I mean, for me anyway, seeing it on the table, and I mean he's fantastic. He's awesome. I love
is
it.
the man, no doubt about it. Again, Blake, thanks again for joining us. I know you got some laundry to fold, so we'll let you go here on a Sunday night, and we really appreciate you spending some time with us here on FoosTalk Live.
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me. I hope you'll have a good night.
Thank you, Blake.
Thanks, buddy.
It's great catching up
Truly
with you, man.
appreciate it.
We'll see you again.
Absolutely.
We'll see you soon out there.
Absolutely. Later.
All right. Wow, guys.
All right, guys.
This
good
is
stuff.
This is great. It's been a couple of weeks since we had a chance to do this live, and Blake has really made it worth the wait. No question about it.
He really has. And one thing I want to do before we go, I want to remind everybody they can head over to InsideFoos.com and check out this weekend's coverage of the Zeke Mullins Northwest Open that should be up later today or tomorrow. You can watch all the commentated stuff and all the action from that great event up there, and lots more. I think we're up to over 1,400 matches now.
Wow.
At InsideFoos.com. 1994 Tornado Worlds just added last week. The Tom Spear World Championship, if you will.
Nice.
When he won Open Singles, and of course, always great to watch one of the greatest players of all time, Tom Spear, legendary figure. Also Lafredo and Weidman winning their first of two. Just some great stuff from Dallas now 27 years ago. That's up. We also have the 2012 Tornado World Championships coming up later this week. That was Frederick Colignon's last appearance at the Tornado World Championships in Dallas back in 2012, 9 years ago.
Cool.
So lots of stuff continuing to be added to the Inside Foos site. Lots of stuff to watch, current and historical as well.
And of course, you're going to be live at Colorado State coming up. We're looking forward to a great tournament that weekend. There's going to be, as you mentioned earlier, hopefully a record number of people showing up. I know that they've booked just about every room in Denver, right?
Yes, every room in Denver. It will be the largest Colorado State championship of all time, no question about it. And of course the competition level very high at not only in the master division, the open division, but also on down the line, pro, expert, great players in that part of the country. And again, this is a national event. You're going to get players from probably 35 or 40 different states in attendance at this event. 70 tables, the most they've ever had. In fact, they're opening up another room to house 20 tables. And Tommy and Sherry and Tim do such a great job with this event. And Adam and I will be there.
Cool.
Bring you all the live coverage starting, I believe, November 11th.
Yep.
From Thornton, Colorado.
Perhaps we'll get a chance to interrupt you during that period of time to chat with us here on FoosTalk Live.
Absolutely.
Get caught.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, another great time. Certainly, Blake, we want to thank him wholeheartedly for joining us in between folding laundry. And
saving lives.
Saving lives. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I knew it. I know. You know what? He wears a bandana, but I really think what it is, it's a cape.
It is a cape. He is a superhero. He said Ryan Moore's a superhero. Blake Robertson is a superhero as well.
He walks among us.
They live in the Marvel universe.
They do. I'm a huge Blake fanboy, so I knew it.
Yeah. I am now too.
Yeah. Always been.
Now we really hopped around on a lot of different subjects with him, a lot of different topics, and he was so open with us and really was a fascinating couple of hours there.
Well, it is always good to have someone like Blake to talk to because, of course, he just really brings so much insight to this sport called foosball, and looking forward to more just like that. So, guys, happy Halloween, which is, of course, a week from tonight, Halloween. And what are the costumes you two are going to be choosing? What are we going to be doing?
Well, is it a full moon? Will it be a full moon? Because if I won't need a costume if it's a full moon.
Not quite.
If I'm there, it's going to be a full moon. Trust me.
You know. Okay. All right.
You know.
Enough said.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I'd be interested to get some pictures maybe of you two with the kids out trick or treating.
It would not be a good. No, it would not be good.
No, that's I do. No, I call them the kids, and they're out. So, anyways, we're doing good. I'm sorry. There's 20 ounces of IPA in this thing. I don't know what's going on.
You only had one,
and they're gone.
Huh? My daughter is going to be a female version of the Joker from Batman.
Love it.
Awesome. My son is going to be a werewolf. Ooh. And their step grandmother actually makes the costumes every year. We get these brilliant, amazing. In fact, my daughter just won second place in a contest yesterday. She went, she plays the violin, and so she went to a concert here and played with her group of her orchestra, dressed up as a violin. So she was a violin playing a violin.
So meta.
It was amazing. Yeah, no strings attached.
And wow. I bet she's a virtuoso, no doubt. Oh man. Well, I'm supposed to be going to the company costume party, and I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe I'll go as a foosball player. What do you think?
Nice, a foosball man. I like it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just checking to see.
You're going to come up with something. I know you. You're a creative dude, Tom Robinson. I know you're coming up with something. You always do.
You know what? I need the pressure though. It has to be like 2, 3, 4, maybe 2 hours before the party. That's when I have to come up with the idea right there.
Go back 20 years to when you were working radio and there was the company Halloween party.
Oh,
maybe we don't want to do that. The party that never ended, right?
I'll send you a picture anyway. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure I want to see that. All right. Hey guys, have a great evening. Have a great week, and looking forward to what's upcoming here on the foosball tour in the next couple of weeks.
And once again, a reminder of Shoot the Shot is back with episode 7 coming up on Tuesday at 5:00. It's a download on Podbean and foosballradio.com. And our thanks.
Who's the guest? Yeah, who's Clay's guest this week?
Clay is being very close mouth about the guest this week, Jim. So not sure who that's going to be. But
that sounds like a hint.
Boy.
So we'll see. But anyway, Shooting the Shot Tuesday, available at 5:00 Eastern Daylight Time as a download at podbean.com.
He can't prove any of it. You cannot prove any of it.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. See,
oh boy, here we go.
He put me on the altar of sacrifice last week, so it's your turn.
Oh, so great.
Here we go.
I'm going down to that beach in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And officially, I have to say that Clay Toomey is now, captain of his own ship with that show. It's just fantastic. And, it's just great to have him.
Clay's a genius. No question about it.
Yeah.
He gets the most interesting information, Jim, out of his subjects.
Wow. I am excited. I am lactating. Oh my goodness. Cannot wait to hear it.
TMI.
No, it's never TMI here.
Okay.
I'm just going to act like it never happened. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
We'll see you.
All right, guys. Next time on FoosTalk Live. Thanks for tuning in. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos. All rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com, Protectoflex, Rodlock, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, the USTSO, and Foosball Clubs USA. Tune in again next week for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foosing.